Hey guys, so Tati is back on the interwebs, and I know everyone's talking about it. It's the tea, but I kind of personally am torn about Tati's return and kind of wanted to talk about that today. I know everyone's excited, and I will give you a TLDR of kind of what her video was about and some of the things she touched on, but I also think there's a lot of stuff in that video that Tati didn't touch on, and I think it's important that we talk about it and kind of remember what happened a year ago, because it kind of feels to me like Tati's hoping that we forget what happened a year ago, since she did delete her Breaking My Silence video, and I don't know how I feel about that. So before I end this video, subscribe to my channel. I upload every Tuesday and Thursday. I have to give a big thank you to Here for the Tea, who shared my Jen Loves Review video on Twitter. I am shook. I have some new subscribers because of that. That video got a lot more views than my videos normally get. And apparently the video was also posted on Reddit, so thank you to whoever posted it on Reddit. It's been weird a couple days. I mean, obviously the video only has like 1,000 views, so it's nothing major, but for me, it is. I gained like 100 subscribers, which is pretty cool. So shout out to Here for the Tea. I've been a big follower of hers for a long time. But let's get into the tea. So last week, Tati posted a video called 1 Year Later, where she basically came back to YouTube. She talked about how she thought about just coming back with just a regular ass video and not addressing everything, but she kind of felt like she needed to address things. So she talked about things that had been going on in her life for the past year. So the TLDR of things that I'm not going to touch on too much are that Tati talks about how she was stalked like last year. Like she said she was getting threatening messages and people were spying on her and blackmailing her, and I feel like everyone's talking about all of the other stuff in her video, but no one's touching on that, and that is totally fucked up, and that makes complete sense why she would disappear off of YouTube during that time frame. She doesn't really touch too much on it, and I'm not sure if like it has stopped or not. She kind of, again, doesn't touch on it, but I hope it has, because that's a completely fucked up situation. So that happened. That's kind of what pushed her off of YouTube. Then she said that she wanted to come back. She was ready to come back in November, and she was kind of like, fuck it, if I die, I die, which is morbid, but like I get it. Sentiment, but then Clark Swanson, her partner in Halo Beauty, sued her and her husband for $30 million. So she said that kind of pushed her back offline, and that's why she was offline for so much longer. She doesn't really go into much detail about that lawsuit, other than saying that she's still the CEO of Halo and that she's gonna keep fighting the lawsuit. She had to actually downsize in order to fight the lawsuit because litigation is expensive, and I'm assuming that's what Clark Swanson was hoping for. My opinion or perception would be that he was hoping that they would settle out of court with him, so that he would go away, as opposed to this long-standing litigation that's obviously going to cost a lot more money. But Tati doesn't believe that he has a case, and so she's not going to settle just to settle. She wants to fight it. So she said she has downside. She sold her home in LA. She sold her condo. They're living in Seattle now. And so she's fighting that still, but she didn't want it to stop her from coming back to YouTube. And then she also talked about how her and her husband actually split up last year for a couple months, and they were pretty much done with their marriage. All of this stuff had kind of driven a wedge between them, but that they found themselves back their way back to each other, and now they're happier than ever, and that's the tea. I'm not really sure how people are making long ass videos about this, but that's the tea about that. However, she also does say in the video, she starts off saying, talking about what happened last year and her video from last year, and she says in her video, like, my video from last year was such a success. And I've seen people like parroting that statement without realizing that I'm pretty sure she was being sarcastic, because she knows that her Breaking My Silence video was not a success at all. A week or two ago, she actually deleted that video from her channel, and she says in her video that she's deleting it because she just doesn't want to come back with that negativity on her channel, and that she doesn't want to address anything that happened from that, and that all she's going to say about it is that she hasn't spoken to anyone from the beauty community for over a year since she left. And I think a lot of people are taking that as like being okay with it, and I'm not sure why that is. Part of me thinks that really Tati in her video focused a lot on only the negative things that happened to her over the past year. She talks a lot about negative things that have happened to her, things that would garner sympathy. And I'm not saying she's doing it to be manipulative, but I'm saying it might be working to be manipulative, in that she's talking about all these negative things that happen so people feel sympathy for her and don't think about the fact that Tati never truly took accountability for Bye Sister or Breaking My Silence, you know, and also in deleting Breaking My Silence, she deleted her public apology to Jackie Aina, who I think deserved a public apology, especially considering that that public apology honestly should have been to other Black people who are her followers as well, because she did side with a racist and supported Jeffree Star, and I think that her fans deserve that apology to still be up there. But furthermore, I just find it interesting that she's refusing to acknowledge the Bye Sister, Breaking My Silence, James Charles situation, especially in where we've come now. A lot of the opinion of the James Charles situation, we all know that he is a predator now. It's pretty well known that James Charles has been, why is my nose so itchy? It's pretty well known that James Charles has been sexting and sending inappropriate messages to minors, and we have all pretty much said we're over James Charles and we hope he never comes back to the internet. And a lot of the conversation around this is, oh, Tati was right. Tati, Shane, and Jeffree were right. But here's the thing. Tati can be wrong and James can be a predator. Those two things can exist simultaneously. I think we need to remember that the Bye Sister video, which she has also removed, had no receipts in it. She talked about him manipulating straight men for his own sexual gain. There was nothing about minors in there. So that wasn't known. Only Jeffree Star brought that up, and we all know that no one can trust things Jeffree Star says. Again, we need to remember that her Bye Sister video had no evidence in it, and it was very clear to me that it was a hurt person trying to hurt the person that hurt them. Like, she was upset because of the vitamins thing, and she let that hurt her, and she then allowed Jeffree and Shane to manipulate her into making that video. But again, she has to take accountability for the fact that she did that. Like, she did that she can't take that back. And then in her Breaking My, I think we also need to remember that after Bye Sister, Tati only took 2 weeks off of YouTube, and then she continued posting from the end of May all the way until, I believe, May of the following year. So she continued posting for an entire year after the Bye Sister drama, where she basically insinuated that James was a predator. Then she vanished in May of 2020. We now know it was probably because of this weird stalking and blackmailing and stuff she had. Then she came back a few months later and posted Breaking My Silence, where she said that Jeffree and Shane basically manipulated her, where she apologized to Jackie Aina, where she apologized to James Charles and said that her and James were friends now, that she stood by what she said in that video, but that she and James were friends now, and he wanted to be in the Breaking My Silence video with her, but she wanted to do it by herself. And so I think that anyone that remembers that is left confused, because it's like, okay, if you stand by everything you said in your first Bye Sister video, because you don't want to say you were lying, but most of the evidence coming out has shown that you were lying, it's like you either stand by everything you said if you think James is a predator, and then you forgave him for public perception, or you stand by everyone you said, you just say that because it's the easiest thing to say without saying I fucked up. And you don't think James is a predator, and then you forgave him. And then now it's like, where do you lie in the James Charles situation? Because it has gotten a lot more serious. And I have said time and time again that I think Tati is the reason that James has been able to get away with what he has gotten away with for so long. And again, I don't think that that was ever her intention. But I always say the road to hell is paved with 1,000 good intentions. It doesn't matter what her intent was. What matters was the result. And the result was Tati put this damning accusation out there with absolutely no evidence. And then she backtracked on it, which made the entire public think that Tati was wrong and Tati lied, and that Tati and James were friends now, so he must be a good person, because we all trust Tati, because I've talked about Tati, how she kind of weaponized her trust in the past. And then every time these allegations came up again, James Charles could weaponize Bye Sister and say, well, obviously people have lied about me in the past. There have been lies about me in the past, and that's what this is again. This is just another false allegation. This is just another person who's trying to capitalize on the Bye Sister drama, and it's all lies. And so many of these children who came forward were silenced because of the backlash and what happened after Bye Sister. And again, I don't think that was Tati's plan. My personal belief is that Tati probably was manipulated by Jeffree and Shane. She heard a bunch of stuff from them, she believed them, and then she made the video because she was hurt. But I don't think she had any evidence herself. I think James was probably being inappropriate and an asshole and a fuckboy, which I've said. But I mean, there's a difference between being a fuckboy and being a predator, and I think he was more on the fuckboy side of things, and she probably could have just had a conversation with him privately as opposed to doing it on YouTube. Like, I don't think Tati knew that he was messaging underage men, I guess children, underage boys, and sending explicit messages. But again, it doesn't matter what her intent was or what her knowledge was. What matters is that she made this video, she put these accusations out here, and then she backtracked, and now we're in a place where James still uses those accusations as kind of leverage to get away with what he's doing now. And I think that that's why Tati needs to kind of make a statement. Like, I thought it was just like kind of shitty that she didn't talk about it in the video. And I understand her not wanting to deal with it, but I also think that people deserve answers. Like, if she didn't want to be involved in drama, like in her video, she talks about people who are, you know, people who are sent to Scandal Island. And it's like, Tati, you were never sent to Scandal Island. You got on a private plane and you flew yourself there on purpose. Like, you dropped the bombshell video, nobody else did. Like, you have to hold yourself accountable for that. And that's what a lot of people's problem was with Bye Sister, or with the Breaking My Silence video, was that she never really apologized for her part in it. She really tried to pass the blame to Shane and Jeffree. And she says in her video that that was an awful time in her life, and I'm sure it was, but that doesn't mean that you get, just because you poorly addressed it at one point and now you've removed the video, that you get to never address it again. Like, to me, that's just not good enough. And maybe it's good enough for some people, but I think a lot of people have forgotten what she's done. And I think by removing Bye Sister and Breaking My Silence, she's enabling you to forget it even further. Because again, it's been a year. She's hoping time is on her side, and she's hoping that she can kind of just delete them, say she's not going to talk about them, and move on and hope that nobody brings it up again. And I bet you a lot of people won't, but I also bet you that there's a lot of people that have questions. And we also kind of deserve to know what your relationship with James Charles is at this point, because you say you haven't talked to anyone from the beauty community, but the last time we talked to a year ago, you said that you and James Charles were friends and that you had made amends. So where do you stand now? Because James Charles actually broke his little social media break to like Tati's tweet about her video being posted, which is like so sus on his side. But it's just like, I think that people deserve answers, and maybe people out there disagree. Maybe you think that Tati deserves her privacy, and I understand that she has had a hard year, and I totally feel for her. But at the same time, she put her own foot in her mouth, and I think that the public deserves at least some sort of statement about it. Like, what is your current relationship with James Charles? Did you know, like, when you say I stood by everything I said in Bye Sister, what did you mean by that? Did you mean everything you said about him using his power and his fame to get what he wanted, or did you mean the parts where he was manipulating men to get what he wanted? Like, it's just, it's very vague, and it's like your protege is now seen as a predator. Someone that you considered a friend is seen as a predator, and in most circumstances, people would not expect you to make a statement about that, but you inserted yourself into this years ago, and you kind of started these rumors about him, and I think that the world deserves to know kind of where she stands now. Do I think Tati will ever speak about this? Absolutely not. I think Tati will just try to move on and hope that this never happens and ignore any comments or concerns about this. But I also think that I don't think saying Tati was right is an acceptable thing to say about James Charles, because if she was right, then she became friends with a predator after the fact, which is weird. And also, I mean, there's a huge difference between trying to fuck a straight man and trying to have inappropriate messages with a child. And I mean, also Tati was friends with Jeffree Star at the time, and like James Charles said, Jeffree Star has talked about how he's into straight men his entire life. So, and the messages that James Charles brought forward kind of showed that like people are confused about sex. And yeah, James is a fuckboy and he's pushy, but I just don't know if Tati had the information needed to put forward that first video, and I just wish that she would say more about that. I just think that, like, it's such a serious issue that, again, I understand why she doesn't want to talk about it, but, like, that doesn't mean I have to be happy about it. So let me know down below what you guys think. Am I thinking too much into this? Are you guys excited Tati is back? Do you forgive her for everything that happened? Have you kind of forgotten everything that happened, and do you think Tati's using that as, like, her leverage of, like, well, people have just forgotten it, so now I can come back and move on with my life? Especially now that Shane and Jeffree and James, like, basically everyone else from that situation are gone off the internet right now. And Tati's coming back flourishing. But I think a lot of people, because Tati was the lesser evil in that situation, they're quick to forgive her, but they also forget that she was an integral part of that situation. It was her video that started this all, and let's be real, if she wasn't involved, it would not have gotten as big as it was, because it was her trust that was weaponized to put these allegations out there with absolutely no receipts. And now here we are, everyone else is off the internet and Tati's back and she's flourishing, and everyone's so happy about her being back, and I've seen so many people be excited, but I haven't really seen anyone questioning having some sort of closure from the bye sister breaking my silence situation. Like, I just don't think coming back and saying nothing is acceptable, to me at least, but maybe I'm just a picky bitch. I'm a cynical person in general. So I would love to know what you guys think down below. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel every Tuesday and Thursday, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye!